Hello, families. The next group of letters I want to go over with you today are just tricky sounds. So some of these sounds are tricky because they have more than one sound, or they are two letters that go together to create a sound. So you'll just want to reinforce those sounds when you're working with your children. So the first example I have here is H. Now this is a sound that a lot of kids will add a schwa sound to, and it's really just that puff of air. H, hat, Now H can also be tricky because it's often partnered with other letters. For example, we have the WH, the PH, and children may be confused about how to pronounce that when those two letters are together. So in kindergarten, you're usually just going over that H sound. In first grade, you'll be learning more about how H is used in a digraph with PH, TH, WH. And in those cases, you're creating, in the case of WH, just the W sound. PH, you're creating a F sound. And TH, you're creating a Th sound. Let's see. The next letter that can be tricky for kids is Q. Q and U will always be together. They're buddy letters and they create the sound Qu. Okay. Another tricky letter is Y. And the reason why the Y is tricky is because it makes several sounds. It makes the consonant sound Y, but it can also make vowel sounds. And so that's just something we'll have to keep an eye on with kids. One rule that you can tell them is if the Y is at the end of a word, many times that Y is being used as a vowel. So the vowel sounds that the Y can make are the long I, the long E, and it can also be partnered with other vowels, for example, an AY. So a very tricky sound. But for kindergarten, when you're doing CVC words, you really want to go over that initial sound for Y or the medial sound for Y as being Y. Again, the W, also very tricky because it's often paired with other letters. For example, the WH is paired together. Sometimes you'll see that W at the end of a word and it's silent. For example, in a word like how, actually the O and the W are working together. It can be tricky because you have to be very specific about when you're introducing this sound in a CVC word. So for example, even here with the word whale, the WH are working together. It's not a CVC word, for example, like wet, wet. So be on the lookout for those W sounds. And finally, fox, X. That X sound is actually, that can be quite tricky for kids. A lot of times they hear it as a C or a KS because it's got that X sound. And when you see an X at the beginning of a word, that's often not the X sound. It could be a Z sound. So just keep an eye out for that X sound and support kids when they're reading words that have an X at the end. Okay, thanks, and keep an eye out for my vowel video.